Look at this thing. Just look at what is this? How is this? Why is this? We have many questions and we demand answers. And that's why I asked Citizen to send me this watch. I guess the more watches I get to try on, the more interested I am in the unusual. I've had a lot of watches on my wrist, from $50 to $150,000. There are really great watches at every price. If you're one of those people that purposefully overlooks affordable watches or quartz watches or Japanese watches, you're missing out on a lot of joy. While you're sitting in your ivory tower of wait lists, some of us are having real fun kind of slumming it with wild stuff like this Citizen. I wish Citizen had some better naming standards, because this is just called the Promaster Dive, which is also what maybe every Citizen dive watch is called. Yeah, it's got a reference number, the BN0227-25X, which just happens to be the name of my first child, but it's not an easy name to remember. I feel like this watch, or this style of watch, it's really ripe for a good nickname. This collection, if that's what it is, it debuted in 2021, and it doesn't look like anything else in the Citizen catalog, or any catalog. These things are pretty unmistakable. Maybe Sea Star or Starfish, those are good names, or Naval Mine. That's Naval Mine, that's not terrible. If you think of a clever title for this beast, put it in the comments. And yeah, the Citizen You're Terrific is a perfectly good name, and I compliment you on your excellent taste. But of course, this is the only one of these watches with a full Lume dial, so maybe it deserves its own unique nickname. Anytime I see a modern watch that looks this strange, my second thought is, what vintage watch is this based off of? And my first thought is usually, how many of these can I buy without the IRS getting curious? And sure enough, this is based off an older watch from Citizen. I say older and not old because this watch came out in 1982, which is not that long ago. There are still very young and very vibrant people born around that time, so not vintage. And when it came out, it was the deepest titanium diver ever. 1,300 meters, that's stupidly deep. That watch also had a quartz movement, but was even larger than this modern interpretation, with visible screws and a left-hand crown, and naturally, I want the original ridiculous watch. This modern watch is a very confusing size. It's 47 millimeters wide, 45 millimeters long from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and sort of 13.4 millimeters thick. It has a depth rating of 200 meters, it uses a mineral crystal, it has a bead-blasted titanium case, and it takes 24 millimeter straps. There aren't exactly lugs, but you can swap in other straps. I didn't weigh this watch because it's just light. Titanium case, quartz movement, the weight is negligible. The official list price for this is $595, but last time I checked, it was on the Citizen website for $476, which kinda tells me you can get this for even less, you just gotta poke around. All of the dimensions are bizarre and hard to measure. The thickness is hard to measure because the watch is bumpy, it has protrusions everywhere. That's also why it's hard to measure along the X and Y axes. But the precise dimensions don't matter all that much, or at least you shouldn't interpret them like you interpret the dimensions of a more traditional watch. You hear 47 millimeters across and you throw your phone across the room in a classic bout of watch rage. But 45 millimeters long, that's shorter on the wrist than most normally sized sports watches. If you could wear a watch that's 38 millimeters in diameter, you can probably wear this Citizen. You're seeing the watch on my 7-inch wrist. There's no overhang off the edges of my wrist, and I'd say that if your wrist is at least 6 inches around, you can wear this. But your arm also needs to be at least 47 millimeters long, so that will also help. The Naval Mine comes on this vented rubber strap with a black titanium buckle. The strap is a bit bulky for my liking. Somehow, the strap is too bulky while the watch is not. I don't know. Brains, what are you gonna do? The Promaster Dive is powered by the E168 EcoDrive movement. EcoDrive is Citizen's solar quartz technology. The dial of the watch, or some part of the dial, is basically a solar panel. The watch absorbs light, stores energy, and never needs a battery replacement. Citizen says that 11 hours of sunny weather is enough to charge this movement for about 6 months. So I admit at times I'm one of those ivory tower watch snobs. I respect Citizen and EcoDrive movement, but I don't think about them that much. But having this watch for a few days and comparing them to my mechanical watches, man, I feel like a real dummy owning mechanical watches. This watch is more accurate, it's more affordable, it's more easier than any of the watches I spent thousands of dollars on. It's just a real pleasure to pick this up and start enjoying it. And I know it's different. It is. Mechanical watches do lack convenience and affordability, but that's not why we love them. We love mechanical watches because they're difficult, and because they're complicated, and because they can remind us that we have more disposable income than other people. But it's just been refreshing to wear a watch that I know is running and running accurately before I even pick it up. Refreshing and fun, because besides this wild case design, what makes this the most fun Citizen Sea Urchin is the full Lume dial. I can't believe I've never owned a watch with a dial like this. It's gotta happen. I don't need a full Lume dial, and neither do you, but on the other hand, yes we do. Embrace the frivolity of watches and get something that makes you smile more often than it makes you check your bank account. The case and bezel are made of Citizen's super titanium, and they're kind of bead blasted. They have a rough texture to them. Between that texture and Citizen's super titanium treatment, the case and bezel are pretty scratch resistant. Now I'm saying bezel and not bezel insert. The bezel insert is the thing with the markers and numbers. This insert, I'm not sure what this is made of. Maybe plastic with numbers and markers etched into it. This could scratch, but with this bezel, it's unlikely that anything is going to come in contact with that bezel insert. The bezel has 60 clicks. It feels and sounds like the case, sturdy and rough, like the bezel and the case are rubbing against each other somewhere. That's probably what I'm hearing. I had a feeling I would like this watch. That's why I asked Citizen to loan it to me, but I didn't expect that I would be smitten by it, smitten from it. I'm not good into prepositions. There's just a combination here that's really appealing to me. First, the price. If this were more expensive, it'd probably be an instant no. There's also the impossibly convenient EcoDrive movement, the lightness of that movement in a titanium case, and most importantly for me is the weird factor. I don't know how broad the audience is for a watch like this. I can't imagine that it would appeal as someone's only watch or even their daily watch, but for people like me and maybe people like you, bless your hearts, who have a collection, well, I think everyone should have an Oddball watch. And at this price, with this wearability and this design, I think this could be a great oddball for a lot of people.